Hello viewers, welcome to our lecture series on marketing management, and in that very series we have been talking about understanding prosumers in 21st century marketing and the way prosumers are playing their significant role and the kind of change we are witnessing in 21st century marketing where the consumers have become the co-creators of brands, or you can say that in a way they have their own say into the entire marketing process when we talk about 21st century marketing. And this seems to be very interesting also, and it is not only a western concept but it is very much prevalent in Indian scenario also. So in today's series of our discussion on this very topic, I'll be telling you about the way they are contributing to the Indian business, Indian marketing, and the kind of models we have gone through, what these models say. We are going to conclude that, and we would try to have a better understanding of what prosumers are doing in 21st century marketing, the way they are crafting and creating the scenario of marketing in 21st century. That is something which we are going to discuss and deliberate. So I'll be telling you about the theories and models, what they are actually speaking about when it comes to prosumers and the concept of prosumers, what are the opportunities and inherent challenges which marketers of 21st century is witnessing. Because although we can say that these prosumers, they are creating lot of opportunities for marketers, but of course this field is not devoid of challenges. Those challenges are very much there. So how to overcome those challenges, that is something very significant for marketers of today, and then eventually we'll talk about what is the way forward, what is the future of the concept of prosumers and consumers and in present scenario. So the different theories and models which we had discussed, I would try to recapitulate at least their names. We had discussed about the presumption theory, which is popularly known as PT. Then we also had a discussion on the value co-creation theory, which is second in line when we talk about the literature which is available on the concept of prosumers, presumption, and the way they are creating the value in a partnership with that of producers. So you can say that these prosumers, they are actually essentially they are consumers, but they had assumed the role and responsibility of producers. That is why they have become prosumers. And then we had discussed about the PCFM model also, that is prosumer creativity and focus model, the kind of creativity they have and the focus point which they are having. It is something which was the key takeaway from this particular model. And then we also had a discussion on motivation, opportunity and ability, which is popularly known as MOA model, wherein we not only talk about the motivation but also the opportunity and ability as a key ingredient of the presumption theory, or the entire proposition of presumption or prosumers, which is very much prevalent in 21st century marketing. So my dear learners, you must be now you must be very much clear that this concept is not at all new. The literature is full of researches and the practical examples, case studies on the given topic, that is called presumption. So when we talk about prosumers, we cannot ignore, we can't leave the very concept or idea of presumption. So given this as a part of our discussion in the previous lectures and also as a background, now I'll tell you what these different theories and models conclude. These theory and models actually they delineate the role and characteristics of prosumers, and they are actually to some extent they are reflecting how these prosumers involvement in production process transforms them into the vital partners in the value creation chain. They are fostering innovation, they are actually acting as an engine for personalization and enhanced customer satisfaction. So the crux of the story is that these prosumers, they are going to ensure the elimination of any kind of confusion. So gone are the days when we used to talk about marketing myopia, where marketers used to work in isolation as a producer, and they were thinking that whatever I had produced, that is going to be taken up by the consumers without any kind of doubt or any kind of complaints. Now it is the consumer who is going to assume the role and responsibility of adding creativity and fostering innovation into the production process, And you can imagine the kind of revolution we are witnessing by the way of personalization, or what you call as customization. And it is very much prevalent in several industries. I'll tell you in due course of time what are those different sectors where this concept of prosumers or the presumption is very much prevalent. And it is prevalent so much so that they have actually created their own niche by adding to the value chain, to the entire value chain, or to the entire production process, and it is going to transform them into the vital partners in the entire production process, or into the entire value chain. So, my dear learners, these theories and models, they are actually giving a stamping to the establishment of consumers assuming the role of producers, and calling them the prosumers, who are very much active, and they have been contributing significantly to the entire production process. And the integration of course the prosumers creativity and their active participation with the company's strategic initiative, it actually results into the co-created products, the products which are created in collaboration with that of consumers, and of course the services which better meet consumer demands and drive market success. So eventually who is at the benefit? I would say that both are going to get immense benefit out of this very revolution, not only the consumer but also the producer or the marketer. Because marketers, it is not like that marketers have ever been against the satisfaction of the customers. It has been their ultimate goal. And what else can be better than this, that the consumers are going to craft and draft the entire production process or the entire service chain. And you would find that they are in a better way, they are able to meet consumer demands, and of course they are driving market success. Now, when we talk about the facets of prosumers, of course the different roles which the prosumers are playing, that is of course multifaceted, and they can examine their behavior, relationship, motivations, characteristics, and the concept of prosumer capitalism nowadays we are talking about. So, we have gone to that extent, we have gone a long way in the field of prosumers or presumption, that now we have started talking about the very concept of prosumer capitalism. So, my dear learners, lot of researches are being conducted, and the researches are being conducted why? Because they are there to solve the marketing problems which are emanating out of this very concept of prosumers. So, I would not say that the entire way of presumption is very easy. It is of course full of challenges, and those challenges marketers are trying to meet out. So, the prosumer behavior in several fields, it has actually been observed into the different researches, and we have been talking about self production, consumption in certain sectors. We have been talking about apart from self production, we have been talking about P2P trading and sharing, what you call as peer to peer trading and sharing, that we had discussed in detail in the previous lecture. But I thought just to give you a review of what are the different facets of what you call as presumption or prosumers. We have been talking about the co-creation, or what you call as collaborative creation, that has also been the part of the different facets of this concept of presumption. We have been talking about knowledge creation and sharing, that prosumers, very often they are taking the role of knowledge creators, and they are also sharing that. Particularly if you look at the field of art and education, you would find this to be very prevalent, and of course everybody is nowadays giving a kind of review or giving a kind of ideas, wherein what has been your experience out of that particular study process, the particular research process you have gone through, and you start sharing your experiences, and that also contribute to the knowledge base of the learners who are willing to gain some insight from the first hand users or from the first hand learners. And when we talk about prosumer relationship, of course it involves dynamic interactions between the prosumers and companies, and along with that within the prosumer communities. So, I would say that this entire concept of prosumers is actually possible because of the very availability or proliferation of ICTs, that is information and communication technologies. So the entire marketing fraternity must be thankful to the revolution of ICT, that is information and communication technology, that the distance between the consumers and producers, it has of course been eliminated. To a greater extent, I would say it has been eliminated. And these prosumers, they are of course, there are different drivers, there are different researchers have indicated about different motivations, that also we had discussed in the initial lectures of mine. But now I would focus and concentrate upon the opportunities and challenges of prosumers. What opportunities they are creating, what kind of silver linings we are able to witness when we talk about the concept of prosumers. And of course, later on we will also talk about the challenges and the ways and means to overcome them. So prosumers are actually popular, or they have actually occupied a significant place in the 21st century marketing only because of their positive contribution to the value chain process. That is, they are creating value in several fields in different ways. And if you look at their contribution from the perspective of economic development, technological innovation and environmental sustainability, prosumers, if you look at these three parameters, prosumers, they are very much able to bring more and more creative and efficient solution to various industries. So if you look at those industries where the economic development perspective is involved, where the technological innovation is involved, or where we can talk about the environmental sustainability, or what you also call as sustainable, doing a sustainable business or doing business in a sustainable manner, then of course these prosumers are very much needed to bring more and more creativity and efficient solution to those industries about which you are actually trying to provide a better solution. So of course these prosumers are playing a critical role in certain fields, like if you ask me to rate them, to rate their presence in the order of their percentage of market share, I would say the energy is a sector where it is contributing to the most. So whenever we talk about the prosumers, you would find that in the field of energy, their presence is very much popular. They are very much popular there, and they are positively contributing to the entire value chain process. Educational institutions, agricultural, industrial, or even if you look at the fashion value networks, or sometimes they are contributing to innovation, value creation and distributed flexibility also. So they are actually playing a very critical role. If you look at even the film industry, if you talk about the Bollywood, they are playing a very significant role. You must have been observing in one way or the other, these prosumers, they are contributing to the promotion of that business, that entire industry. If you look at those perspectives, you would find a lot of literature available on that, but due to paucity of time, I am not extending my discussion on that very domain, but I am just giving you an indication. I am just trying to hint you that you can also look at the concept of prosumers. Specifically speaking, from the researcher's point of view, I would like to highlight that yes, you can also look at this very concept from the perspective of Bollywood. That is the Indian cinema, where these prosumers, they are actually playing a very significant role, ranging from the dialogue delivery, or making reels, or moving towards the copy, making a copycat of that particular style that the actor or actresses they are actually showcasing in that particular movie. So these prosumers, they are very much prevalent. It is only up to the marketers to realize that what kind of value they are creating, or the way they are contributing to the entire value chain process. So when we look at the opportunities, we can say that as consumers and producers transition to prosumers, there are certain opportunities which are very much significant. And the first one is the economic benefits. Of course, we always say that nothing motivates like money, and the economic benefits which these prosumers can achieve, significant cost savings by producing their own goods and services. For instance, suppose I am having some solar panel at the rooftop of my home, and I am generating my own electricity through solar panels. What else can be better than this, that I'm creating my own electricity, and that too without causing any harm to the environment. So it is not only giving me the economic benefit, but at the same time I'm also contributing to the environmental sustainability aspect. So the first opportunity for all of us, at least for emerging economies, is that we can generate lot of economic benefits out of this very concept of prosumers. So the field of energy is the best example of that, that without causing any harm to the environment, you are able to generate electricity through solar panels, which can not only be used by yourself for your own consumption, but you can also share it to your neighbors, or even you can contribute the same or sell the same to the grid. So this actually reduces the dependence on traditional utility providers, and of course it is going to reduce your monthly expenses also. So on one hand you are creating economic benefit for yourself, you are generating power, and on the other, while being a consumer, you can also assume the role of a producer, and you can get credits for the excess power which you have generated with the help of the solar rooftop which you have installed for your own usage. So additionally, these prosumers in various sectors you would find, including agriculture, fashion, they have actually been contributing in local markets, and they've been engaging in local markets and community supported initiatives. For instance, if you ask me, I would say local markets and community supported agriculture. Nowadays it is very much popular, which is called as CSA initiatives, which offer economic opportunities for small scale producers. They also foster more resilient local economies. You would find that, I would like to highlight here, that in some of the Delhi University colleges, they are actually having their own community supported, I would rather say student supported agriculture, where the students are actually involved into those extracurricular and co-curricular activities, generating revenue for the institution and also creating employment opportunities for some people. So this is also another area where these prosumers, that is called community supported agriculture initiative, it is also known as CSA. So if you look at different industries, you would find that yes, there is no dearth of research into this very concept of prosumers. Lot of research is going on, and marketers of today, they are exploring the increasing role of prosumers, and they are gaining lot of benefit out of it. In fashion, prosumers, they drive market engagement through unique and personalized products. They are providing valuable consumer insights, and of course fostering authenticity and trust. So as I told you, that economic benefit is the first and the foremost benefit, or I would rather say it's an opportunity for not only the marketers but also the producers, and it would be more correct to say that it is creating economic benefit for prosumers. The second significant opportunity is coming in terms of environmental sustainability. Now, when we talk about environmental sustainability, before I tell you about the role of prosumers, I must give you a broader idea of the very concept of ESG. Nowadays, companies, they are talking about ESG reporting. So when we talk about the ESG reporting, of course it starts from E, that is environment. So no business can sustain without taking care of environment, because it is the environment where we are going to operate our business. So we have to take care of the environmental sustainability, and by engaging in certain activities, for instance food self provisioning and renewable energy generation, prosumers, they are adopting and promoting sustainable practices. So if you are actually generating electricity for your own, it means directly or indirectly you are actually contributing towards environmental sustainability as well. If you look at the agriculture, this actually leads to environmental benefits, for instance reduced carbon footprints, and of course the lesser dependence on industrial agriculture. So lesser use of pesticides, or you can say the lesser use of chemicals into the agriculture process, because you are doing it for your own self. You can also contribute to the environmental sustainability in that way. And of course, there is an indirect benefit of ensuring a good food or healthy food for your own consumption. So by exchanging, repairing, repurposing, upcycling, recycling, composting, or downcycling tangible goods, prosumers, they are contributing to the product lifetime extension. So if you look at the product's lifetime extension, I would say that these prosumers, they are not only exchanging, but the certain words which are emerging as keywords, and they are contributing to their environmental sustainability. I would like to repeat them, that they are not only exchanging but also repairing, repurposing, upcycling, recycling, downcycling, composting, or they are actually in one way or the other, they are contributing to the product lifetime extension, and eventually creating a positive atmosphere for the entire environment, the positivity for the environmental sustainability. That is something which is over and above the economic benefits, which you can count as the opportunity or the benefit emanating from this very concept of prosumers. So apart from these two benefits, the third one, which is very much significant, that is called community building and social benefits. That is also a very emerging concept when we talk about the social entrepreneurship. Of course, the community building and social benefits are something which are very much on the cards. So prosumers, they engage in educational activities. They are teaching new users about the technical and economic aspects of their respective fields. So suppose if I am having a technical knowledge of a particular field, then of course I can pass on this knowledge to the people who are interested into knowing about my specific field, and I can actually not only tell them about the technical but also the economic aspects of the respective field. For instance, I would give you an example of the Bitcoin, so, or cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is comparatively a new idea, where not many people are very much aware of it, or I would say even if they are aware, they are not well versed into its trading. So this Bitcoin mining and the teacher, when we talk about Bitcoin mining and a person who can give you a fair idea about this entire process. So there is a prosumer pattern. These prosumers, what they are doing, suppose I am writing a blog about how to go for using how to go for doing this Bitcoin mining. So I would as a prosumer, I would provide educational opportunities and share knowledge to foster community engagement and ecosystem development. So I can tell them that this is the way it functions, and this is the modus operandi of this entire Bitcoin mining. And of course, I can not only share the knowledge, but I can also tell the possible users about the economic benefits, the possible economic aspect of this respective field about which I am going to talk about. So this is actually what kind of benefit I am going to get. Suppose I am a person of commerce and management, and I am telling somebody about the Bitcoin mining. So of course there can be a person on that platform on which I am sharing, who is well versed into the network security, and that person can also contribute to the knowledge base. So this enhanced network security and stability in Bitcoin mining, these prosumers participation helps distribute the mining power more evenly across the network. And not only this, it is going to reduce, or I would say it is going to eliminate the risk of an attack where a single entity could gain control of the network. So they are there to help us in making the system more secure, and the security can be more enhanced. So this decentralization actually ensures a more robust and reliable verification process. And imagine all this is done without paying a single penny. As a marketer, you are not hiring an expert, but the person who is actually interested into that area is going to create an enhanced network security for your entire mining process. So it is enhancing the overall security and stability of the Bitcoin blockchain. which is time stamped, and of course it is very much secure. So my dear learners, these are the opportunities which are coming and which are on the way. And of course, apart from these economic benefits and environmental sustainability, there are certain marketing opportunities. And when we talk about marketing, of course the name of Philip Kotler is very much there, which is supposed to be discussed very much there, and Kotler has identified several significant opportunities for companies which are leveraging prosumer networks, and these include the development of innovative marketing strategies which actually involve prosumer feedback, taking a feedback of prosumer, and it can eventually lead to more engaging and effective marketing campaigns. And when we talk about marketing opportunities, of course integrating prosumer input into, since we have taken a feedback, that feedback is considered as an input, and it is this input into the product development process ensures that the products which we are going to produce henceforth, they would closely be aligned with the consumer needs and preferences. So whatever feedback, whatever inputs we have taken from our consumers, that is something which is going to be very much incorporated into the production process. So they are going to, in this way we are going to strengthen the consumer relationships, and for this of course we can make use of collaborative marketing efforts, and it can also foster a sense of loyalty and advocacy among prosumers. Imagine what if your consumers are loyal to that extent that they start advocating the product. They have started doing the advocacy of that particular product, they have started speaking, spreading the positive word about your product. So it is enhancing the brand loyalty, and of course the customer engagement, which is very much long lasting, or I would say which is a lasting marketing association with that of your consumers. So my dear learners, when we talk about the key examples of prosumers in India, I would say that the first and the foremost example is residential rooftop solar owners. Individual households, of course there are hundreds of thousands of homeowners in cities like Bengaluru, Pune and New Delhi who have actually installed rooftop solar panels to generate their own electricity. So this is the first example, and not only the households, even the net metering participants, these households, they consume a portion of their solar generation, and they are exporting surplus energy back to the grid for credits, and they are effectively lowering their electricity bills. So there is a concept of net metering participants where you can sell out your surplus electricity which you have generated. So there are number of examples in Indian scenario where the you can find the presence and prevalence of prosumers in the field of marketing, and they have actually very beautifully changed the entire scenario of marketing in this 21st century. So my dear learners, I hope I could give you a better idea about the theories and models of prosumers and the way they are prevailing in the market. The remaining part of this very concept I will be presenting before you in the next lecture of mine. Thank you so much.